welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. Today I'm going to return to my year-long journey through the filmography of Luis Bunuel, or as this book might have it, The Discreet Art of Luis Bunuel. So we're going to 1959 to NAZARIN, stars Francisco Rabal, Marga Lopez, adapted from a novel by Benito Perez Galdós. And this film, as far as I know, can only be found on YouTube. The picture quality is not great. It's a bit soft in spots. Other scenes look pretty good. It has yellow subtitles, which it takes a while to get used to, and some of the subtitles have some vocabulary and grammatical problems with it, but overall you certainly get the gist of what everybody is saying in the film. And it brings up the problem of, can I actually cover all of Bunuel's films? Now, certainly the two before Los Olvidados in 1950, I don't think I'll be able to find. And should I cover films that are only available in sort of degraded forms? But I'm going to try to do the best I can, because I do want to cover as many as possible. In the case of NAZARIN, will there be a future Blu-ray? When I talked about The Criminal Life of Archibaldo de la Cruz a few weeks ago, which was only available on YouTube, and a few days after that, it was announced that a new restoration, a new Blu-ray would be coming out from Indicator sometime this summer. So, NAZARIN is a story about a priest, and you might play by Francisco Rabal. And if you've seen Viridiana, you might recognize him because he played Viridiana's hedonistic cousin in that film. Here he is the spiritual one, and like Viridiana, he takes his religion very seriously. He lives among the people. He basically has no possessions at all. He lives on the kindness of the people that he encounters. Every once in a while, he will see a mass. He does have a local priest who is very sympathetic to NAZARIN's conception of the gospel and conception of what kind of priest he is meant to be. So he does get a stipend for saying masses sometimes when other priests aren't available. But he gets robbed a lot, even when he has some possessions, and this is all somebody comes asking for alms from him, he will give them the alms. He gets involved in he's living in this establishment ironically called the Heroes Inn, which is populated by a bunch of people that are downtrodden, poverty-stricken, including prostitutes. One of them, Andera, is a character who's going to become a big part of NAZARIN's life. She abuses him and screaming abuse at him. But then she gets involved, Andera gets involved in a feud with her cousin, and she believes that she has killed her. So who does she go to for refuge? She goes to NAZARIN. He doesn't really want to. He says, "You have to turn yourself into the police. I can't protect you." But then he relents, and she's very impressed by the actual goodness of NAZARIN. She's a painted lady. She reeks of perfume. Eventually, she's found out, and in order to cover her tracks, she sets NAZARIN's apartment on fire, and of course the Heroes Inn is engulfed in that fire. So even though NAZARIN is not directly involved in this fire, he is in essence indirectly involved. But now he has to go out on the road, and Dara will shed her painted face and her terrible perfume, and she becomes an acolyte. She is going to go on this journey with NAZARIN, who hits the road with very little possessions. He gives away his shoes to somebody in great need. So now he's walking barefoot, and and he's not seeking out anything but to do good, to try to find places where he can be of use to the ill, to the sick, to the downtrodden. This is his goal. And the first scene in the film that before Andera has joined him is not in Galdos's novel, but Bunuel invented this episode where Nazarene gets involved with a kind of workers' dispute of which he is the center of. And then when he realizes that he's in the wrong, he leaves. But as he's leaving, we see the workers and the foreman get involved in a dispute, and then we hear gunfire. And Nazarene is a ways down the road, but he hears the gunfire, he looks back. So again, he is sort of indirectly responsible for potentially a horrendous event. So Andera comes to follow him, and now also the second female character is Beatrice, and Beatrice has found sanctuary at the Hero's Inn. She is sort of hiding from her lover, the bad guy of the movie, El Pinto, who has taken her away from her home village and has degraded her. She is a fallen woman. She is and she does return to her hometown because her niece is very ill, near death, and she finds Nazarene there, and she understands Nazarene's goodness and believes he could be a saint, and he has the power of raising people from the dead or the near dead. In this case, Nazarene wants no part of this. I'm not, pray to God. If God wants to take her, he will, and give her the medicine. She's been taking medicine, but he is seen as the little girl's savior, and so Nazarene witnesses this religious mania that comes about, and in which he is considered a saint, which he knows he is not. One thing about Nazarene in this film, he is a very intelligent man. He understands his background, whatever it been, and must have been. He's very learned, and he believes in science. So he goes away again frustrated. I'm not who these people think I am, and yet, he can't really shed this image of himself that he wants to be. So Beatrice now comes along, and she is suffering from, in her relationship with El Pinto, she has been suffering from a nervous condition, a kind of hysterical condition. This is Marga Lopez. And Marga Lopez gets top billing over Francisco Rabal in the credits. And when I saw it, I was really taken back because the novel is all about, the focus is on Nazarene. Beatrice is a secondary character, an important one. But in the movie, there's a lot more Beatrice here. There's a lot more focus, at least, on Beatrice. So when she says that, she tells Nazarene, these are demons. He's being possessed by demons. Well, Nazarene doesn't believe in demons. He says, you need to rest, eat a good diet, pray a lot, which, you could say meditate. He's giving real sound, down-to-earth advice because he doesn't believe in this supernatural element that the people that he comes to minister do believe in. So there's what interested Bunuel about this story was that he considered Nazarene a good man. He likes Nazarene. Now, Bunuel was famously anti-clerical, but he thinks that Nazarene, he may be misguided, but he means well. And then what interested Bunuel was planting the seed of doubt within Nazarene. And all these episodes are leading to this manifestation of doubt in Nazarene's belief and belief in the efficacy of his journey. So this is a very pessimistic film, and it's very austere. There's no music. The photography by Gabriel Figueroa is, of course, excellent. I mean, he is a legendary figure in film. He photographed John Ford's *The Fugitive* with Henry Fonda in the late '40s, which also was about a priest, and he liked to do very impressive pictorial shots, which John Ford liked to do, and he would use these shots as an emotional, and use it in his emotional conception of his films would be very much tied to the pictorial images. Well, Figueroa on *NAZARIN*, on one setup, he set up a beautiful shot, pictorial shot with scraggly trees in the foreground and hills, mountains in the background. And when Bunuel arrived on the set, he said, okay, that's very nice, but let's turn the camera around and let's look at the people. If there's going to be poetry in Bunuel's films, it's going to come from the characters. It's going to come from the situations and how they react to the situations in his narratives. So let's talk a little about the Galdós novel, because it is very different. Most of the episodes in the movie come from Galdós' novel, but there's a much different emphasis in Galdós' conception of *NAZARIN*. So once he hits the road in the novel, he looks at his journey as he's a kind of Don Quixote. He's out to find martyrdom. He's out to be punished, and as Don Quixote and his journey, he was out there to engage in romantic adventures in which he would save the damsel in distress. *NAZARIN* wants none of that. His quest is for martyrdom, and the humor in the book, and there's lots of humor in Galdós' novel. The humor in the book is that he's constantly being frustrated. Wherever he goes, he thinks, oh yes, now these people are going to abuse me, and I'll find my martyrdom, and instead it's exactly the opposite happens, especially in a long episode in the novel that Bunuel does not use in the movie, where Galdós' *NAZARIN* comes across the rich landowner of the area who's abuses everybody, brutal, and everybody is terrified of him. So Galdós' *NAZARIN* says, yes, this is where I'm going to be martyred. So when he comes to meet the guy, he ironically discovers that underneath this gruff exterior, he is a believer who dislikes, hates the Catholic Church's the clerics, and that they have strayed from the true gospel. And he misidentifies *NAZARIN* as a famous Armenian priest who also travels with acolytes, that travels through Europe. And he says, you're the Armenian priest, and there's nothing that *NAZARIN* can convince him otherwise. So the photography here, the humor here in Galdós' novel is absent. The dialogue is hilarious. The comic situations are very funny, but it still has the same pessimism. Galdós was not a fan of the church, like Bunuel. Bunuel takes Galdós' novel and he sort of makes an Italian neo-realist movie out of it, which is really, really interesting. But in the Galdós' literary flourishes, especially at the ending of the Galdós' novel, so much different than Bunuel's ending. Now, when I saw the film the first time, I was sort of puzzled by it. I thought, why did he take out so much of the novel and just focus in on this sort of pessimism? It was almost like it was too much. But when I watched it the second time, it made a lot more sense to me, especially the ending. The ending can be interpreted in different ways, is what I've discovered in reading reviews. The ending made a lot more sense to me in my second viewing of the film. Now, the reaction of the church is really funny here to Bunuel's film because it got great reviews. In fact, Bunuel was worried that it was going to win the best film from the Catholic Church for that year. It didn't, and Bunuel was really relieved. But even so, I think I read somewhere that NAZARIN is part of the top 100 Catholic movies of all time, which Bunuel would have a good laugh at. Of course, in Bunuel's next film, Viridiana, would be condemned by the church as blasphemy. Overall, this is a movie I think that you might struggle a little bit at first glance, but I think there's a lot of Bunuel's cinematic genius in this film, and his very austere conception of Galdos's much more elaborate novel. Next up, I will be talking about the next up in the Bunuel series will be another literary adaptation of a much more famous novel, Robinson Crusoe, and after that, another literary adaptation, not so famous, in Diary of a Chambermaid. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.